Being a CPA gives me a competitive advantage over my peers because it gives me no limits on how high I can climb. People that don't go and get their CPAs so many times hit a ceiling as far as their career paths. They're going to go so far, and then that's as far as they're going to go. Going that extra mile to get your CPA really allows you to climb as high as you want to go with that certification. So I believe that gives me the best edge over people that don't get a CPA. Okay. Being a CPA has opened doors for me on a personal level in the sense that it allows me to be involved with more organizations, charitable organizations. Being in West Texas area, generally people out there are more charitable anyways, but being a CPA allows me to get on some boards for charities and different things like that. That expertise allows me to get in those types of areas. Professionally, being a CPA has opened up doors for me professionally to be involved on the Texas Society of CPAs, but I'm also involved in the chapter out for the Permian Basin area, and also for being in industry. Being a CPA has allowed me to advance quickly up through the ranks. I was able to get to the position I am. I'm the youngest person in that position in my company, which is a $1 billion company, and allows me more opportunities to advance up to a VP rank through being a CPA. A lot of people think CPA and industry is purely about being a controller or being on an accounting corporate staff. My path has taken me a different route where I'm actually a lot more involved in operations, going after operating metrics and judging how the company does and ways to improve revenue and not just overhead, but actually how do we structure our business to get the most out of the business. And being a CPA has allowed me to get into that position. Now there are the financial aspects to it, but I think most people go into industry just think that they're going to be doing debits and credits for the rest of their lives. There are other opportunities in industry for people to get involved more in the operational side. I've got a little bit of advantage there being in West Texas. The population for CPAs out there is actually not as high as Houston, Austin, and those areas. And so I actually have a little bit of an edge out there because there's a whole lot less people with my credential. And so when somebody's looking for that, I have less of a labor pool to go against. So from that sense, being away from a major city, I don't have near the competition when I'm going after a CPA job. And so that's been beneficial too. Personal challenges that you encounter when you're becoming a CPA or you're trying to sit for the CPA exam. The biggest challenge is really dedication. You have to really dedicate yourself to get up to study, to make sure that you're prepared for the exam. It's not something that you can just wake up and sit there and go, I just want to be a CPA today, think you're going to go take the exam and pass it and be okay. I know extremely smart people that can't pass the exam. And I know some people that maybe they didn't do as well in school, but they really sit down and sit there and go, I want this, it's worth the dedication to do it. And you're going to have to get up every day and study and do whatever it takes to prepare yourself for the exam. And sometimes that gets in the way of your personal life. Instead of going and doing something with your friends, that means you're having to stay inside and study, even though that's not the most exciting thing in the world. While your friends are out having a good time, you're studying accounting. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but in the end, the focus that it takes to get yourself prepared for it is worth it. And that's what I found. When I studied for it, I woke up every morning for 3-4 months and studied 2 or 3 hours before I went to work. And at the end of it, though, it's all worth it. And it's enhanced my life and enhanced the life of my family and the ability for me to provide for my family. So in the end, the dedication, the sacrifice, maybe sacrificing doing some of the funner things in life for that period of time is worth it in the end. Being a CPA, I do believe that we need to give back to our communities. And when we find opportunities to be involved in charitable organizations, we need to embrace that in order to help our communities. Being in public accounting, I guess that is one thing that you are in public, and the public helps support your business, and in turn, you ought to be able there to support your community when they're supporting your business. Being in industry, still the same thing. You have an opportunity to give back to your organization or to your community, then you need to embrace that. I do believe that CPAs have an obligation to help their communities when they have a chance. As a professional and as a leader, you should do that in your community and embrace those roles, and hopefully some good things follow from that and leave your community a little better place than it was when you got there. And being a CPA, having that credential can get your foot in some doors, to put yourself in a position where you can do those things. And you worked hard to get your CPA. People in that community help support your business, and I believe you owe it to the community to give that in return. Being a CPA has allowed me to achieve a certain lifestyle that is very comfortable. I have a wife, I have a 5-year-old son and a 10-month-old daughter. Being a CPA allows me to earn enough income that my wife chooses to be an at-home mother for my 2 kids, and being a CPA allows me to earn the income that will allow her to do that for my family, which is very important from a family aspect. That's what my wife wants. It helps a little bit too to be a CPA. I think most people my generation, this is the worst financial recession my generation has ever experienced. Remember, we grew up in the 80s and the 90s when 401ks grew and everybody was having good times. We never experienced anything like this growing up, my generation. And I've learned that being a CPA, for the most part, has been somewhat recession-proof. Even industry. People think they're going to cut overhead as quickly as they can. CPAs, I've take my company for instance. There was never a single CPA in my company that's at my level let go during the recession. Other people were unfortunately laid off, but being a CPA secured that role for me and allowed me to make that through that tough time that everybody else experienced hard times through. Work-life balance. Once again, in industry, I do pretty much 8 to 5. I do have, obviously, I have an iPhone, emails, so I'm answering emails or answering calls whenever it needs to be done. And some travel, but pretty much 8 to 5. So, you're at work and you're working when you need to be there, and then the rest of the time you have your personal time to be with your family and your friends. And so you're not just sitting there in an office with a visor crunching numbers all day. It does allow you some personal freedom to be with your friends and your family, but also gives you a challenging, secured job it gives you a little better place to secure that for yourself and your family. My best professional moment in being a CPA has allowed me to assume a managerial role within my company. The best moments are when you have somebody reporting to you and you're teaching them something and they get something they didn't have 5 minutes ago. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's well worth it. It's very rewarding, and I would not be in the position to help people grow if I had never had my CPA. Being a CPA opens up a tremendous amount of doors for you as far as future opportunities and alternatives that you may have that you may not otherwise have if you didn't have your license. For me, my career path and industry would take me to a VP position, very comfortable lifestyle, and rewarding job, not so much from a financial aspect, but more from an operational standpoint. More on the revenue side of things, managing people, managing policy. It's not just sitting in an office crunching numbers. It's getting out, talking with people, getting out to the stores or locations, whatever you're involved in, meeting people and helping them reach the biggest potential that they can reach as an employee. If you stay in an industry, or vice versa, as long as you got your CPA, you can always go back to public accounting if you want. Opportunities arise that if you have an opportunity to get back into public practice and it's a good thing for you, that opportunity is always there. You lend yourself some real flexibility between industry and public practice. Being where I am in Midland in West Texas, I see myself as a real opportunity. It's not a ton of CPAs out there, like I stated before. I think 70% of the CPAs in West Texas or the Permian Basin are 50 years or older. So in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of those individuals will reach retirement age. And it's a real opportunity for someone my age to step into those roles and really either create a practice that I want to create, if that opportunity is there, or assume a role in an industry position that people want a CPA certification, and there just isn't the amount of people there that need to fill that role in a place like West Texas. So from that standpoint, being in West Texas and being my age, I have extreme high expectations for any future possibilities for myself. I know there's a perception out there that CPAs are number crunchers with a visor and sit in an office every day, and that's all they do. Personal experience couldn't be more from the truth. Personal experience on that would be the company I'm working for was going public in 2005. And I was sitting in a room full of underwriters, lawyers, CFOs, CEOs, putting together a presentation or a roadshow for this company to go public. I had input on how that was put together. That affected the entire company, and huge decision. I mean, the company went public on the New York Stock Exchange, and I was 26 years old sitting in this room full of 40-year-old lawyers and underwriters, and had input into this, and I remember sitting there thinking, how did this happen? It would not have happened without me being a CPA. So there is something that comes with being a CPA. It holds the same level of esteem that a lawyer or an executive has, and you're at the table with them.